Oh, great. They get the bald spot. Love that.
Fix my hair, Eric.
All right. So we are opening up negotiations from last year, correct?
For Article 2.
Yep. Joy, do you want to start with Article 2 or do we want to?
So for IBB procedure, we usually start with a check-in, especially for the audience that isn't familiar with how this process looks. Do you want to kind of explain what that check-in normally is, or I can do it? You do it.
Doesn't matter, Frank.
Okay. So part of IBB, I'm going to turn and face you all because we know this, but part of IBB is being able to come and trust each other and really work together to find a solution that works for the good of all. And so we always want to start that with a little check-in, usually who you are, where you work, how you're doing, and that's not like a fake, like, I'm great. It's a genuine, this is where my head's at today, so we all know how you're walking into the space. And then if you have any time constraints, like any hard outs or anything like that, or any elephants in the room, you share those as well. And since I have the spotlight, I guess I'll start and we'll pass there over here. So I'm Joy Wetzel. I'm our Caldwell Education Association co-president. I also work at Seringa Middle School. I'm an English teacher, and today was rough. It was a lot of heavy. So I'm trying to compartmentalize and be present here, but we ended the day with some heavy hitters. So, and I am committed to being here however long you all will tolerate me. So.
Excellent. Hi, I'm Julie Mead. I work at the district office. Where I'm at today is been in a little bit of reflective mode because, you know, there's some things that I've just been spending the day planning for next year. So actually I'm reflective and really hopeful. I think, you know, we can always keep getting better, and I'm excited for some opportunities to do that. So, and I'm happy to be here. This is great. It's a great thing to be doing.
Right. I'm Tina Giannini. I'm also at the office. Today is a pretty good day, really productive. Just feeling good.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa from the district. So good to see everyone in your bright red. It really brightens up the room. One thing that I've been grateful for are all of the Monday morning motivational song submissions. Every time I received one, I would think, oh my gosh, yeah, that's a good one. And we had a lot of them. And I look forward to sharing with everyone after break our final four and then our champion for this year. So thanks everyone for the opportunity to expand my genres.
I teach first grade at Van Buren, and oh, my day was long, and I'm here and just relaxing and breathing.
Amy Gonzalez, first grade at Van Buren, and had a great day today. Matter of fact, we were doing this activity and the kids were so involved in it that we missed recess because everybody was just having a really good time with it.
Brian Coe, a great teacher at Wilson Elementary. I had a really long drive over. Took me a while to get over here with all the traffic and everything. Other than that, it was good.
Shalene French, Superintendent Caldwell. Best part of the day, we had a parent meeting today. Our Parent Advisory Council met and they were able to meet Miss Kelly, the principal at Caldwell High. The conversation scheduled for an hour because we don't want to worry about their time as parents, but they stayed for an hour and 40 minutes visiting with her about things they like to see, things they appreciate, things that they want to work together on.
Can I ask, do you have a heart out today?
5. Thank you.
I'm Andy Arnold. I'm an instructional coach at Caldwell High School, and I am weirdly excited to be here, but also have a sinus infection. So I don't normally sound I just but I do have tea. So that's all that is tea. I promised. Promised it's just tea. But I am weirdly excited.
Dave, great teacher at elementary school. I guess I'm now the facilitator. Wasn't sure if we were starting that with the new process or finishing this, so. Thank you. I'm just happy to be here. We had the Caldwell Fine Arts. We got to do some painting today, so that was fun. Who doesn't love painting?
Can I add one thing on to your facilitator note?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think all of us agreed on Eric being the facilitator because he's really excellent at the IBB process. And he's a person that all of us feel like we can really talk to and trust. And so he seemed like the perfect fit to help us keep on the right schedule and stay committed to IBB. So don't let him sound too humble.
Thumbs up.
Thanks.
I'm Kelly Gary. I teach sixth grade science for the first time in my entire life, and I absolutely love it. Had a great day, and I'm happy to be here.
And I'm Josh Bell. I'm at Jefferson. I do fifth and sixth grade sped, and I think I'm in the same boat as Andy, but hopefully this is the last time you get to hear me talk today.
I'm Cheryl Sanderson. I'm the CFO for the district.
Thank you, everyone. Just before we start, remember, we're here to work together. We'll do the thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb sideways. If we have a thumb sideways, we'll maybe have a conversation sideways, but let's go and jump in so we can be out by hard 5.
What's the first part? What's the first step? Where do we start?
Well, I gotta pull up my, does anyone have? Give me 1 second. Go and talk to your neighbor. Rock, paper, math, go.
So we could actually talk to your neighbor about what are some expectations for this space that you'd like to see, so we can get what's the word? Some working norms.
Love norms.
We were gonna do
There you
that.
go, partner.
I mean,
Like, are you talking about, what are we talking about?
I'm with Andy's norms.
like last one.
Just a partner, but you and I will just get it done.
Andy's norms.
They are.
Put them all down twice.
One of those power moves.
Probably has them too. Brian might not have them.
Just dive in. I'll start in. Did you send anything else? Because I'm just gonna start a note that I'm gonna share with you. Okay. No, you're okay. I just was looking. Okay. Joy, I think we're ready for it. Thank you. I apologize. So we don't, I'll start typing some notes, but we'll just have Cheryl start with maybe the budget and then dive in from there to see.
I could take the notes if you want me to.
Either way. Perfect. Carol, would you mind sharing all the numbers?
Okay.
Why we're here today.
Today.
Does someone can I call this real fast? I really do not want to skip the norms. Are we, would you mind reading the norms that we've been working off of in CAPS meetings, and maybe we could thumbs up, thumbs down if that works for this space?
Yes, I would love to do that. Thank you. So the norms that we have established for our CAPS meetings, which seem to be applicable here, would be trust and trust each other. We want to assume positive intentions, solution-based action items, to be open and honest. And we want to focus on the people, not, or the issues, not necessarily the people themselves, but the issues. So those were our 5. Do we feel that these are? Oh, you guys are amazing. Thank you.
So excuse me, Eric, will you make this a bigger font than -8?
It's a bigger one.
Isn't even big enough for her to increase the phone.
Cheryl, do you want to start with
I-
telling the story?
I
while
was
we're here
looking,
today?
for if someone could start the story by reading the portion of the master agreement, our memorandum of standing of why we're here today. Because I think that given the size of the group, do you have if somebody has it.
On the one day, I don't have, actually, it's in my binder way.
It's not up on mine.
It's in the email I sent.
It is.
So I think that's important, is why we're here this time of year. We're actually, as part of our, process last year, agreed that we would reconvene, look at our numbers once we received our February 15 funding. And as those that don't know, the story is that we don't know our funding until after the first reporting period, for attendance, enrollment and attendance, as well as our staff reporting. And all of that is due in December. All of our numbers and give us our final support unit calculations in February. So our we were a little bit worried in the way that the district or the state went from enrollment back to attendance. So we did definitely understand that we would see a reduction in our support units. We were worried about being able to estimate them properly. So we were conservative. I felt we were conservative, but we also have experienced a decrease in our enrollment again of about 200. And our attendance is still below 90. We fluctuate between about 87 and 89. So as most of us know, that pushes out and equates out to the. I could bury you in paper. I didn't prepare to do that. I want to give you the summary and then show you what we've been working on for the last 2 weeks of really, I know why we're all here,
I
right?
mean, you weren't on vacation
Weren't
in
on
Hawaii.
I wish.
So did you?
So,
Want to read that?
yeah, why don't you go ahead and read that? Because I think that's important to understand the scope of what we're here to talk about.
All right, so the memorandum of understanding says, for those of you looking not at the table, or at the table, it's the very last page of the contract. And it says, due to a substantial decrease in anticipated funding from the Idaho Department of Education, which is that reversion back to away from average daily attendance. No, back to average daily attendance. Thank you. As well as the loss of the supplemental levy funds, the district is unable to offer salary increases for the 24-25 school year. The CPE salary schedule in Article 3 of 2023-2024 master agreement will be frozen and pulled forward to the 24-25 master agreement. While language related to the salary placement, movement, and education allocation will remain, no movement will be implemented at this time. CPEs will be offered a contract for the 24-25 school year that reflects their salary schedule placement and education allocation from the 23-24 school year. The district will receive funding from the Idaho Department of Education based on attendance and enrollment for fall 2024 in February of 2025. Based on the funds received in February 2025's payment, the district agrees to reopen Article 3 of the master agreement for the 24-25 school year to review the CPE salary schedule and consider any options that may be available to increase compensation for CPEs.
Thank you. Yeah. And now I'm looking for a tissue.
Have some here.
Paper towels,
You know,
as far as I mean.
some right here. I don't want to start sneezing on it.
And can anyone tell us what are CPEs?
tissues.
Certified?
Somewhere.
Well, they can-
Believe me, I.
Well, you just want somebody to teach the.
Yeah, so Dr. Fritsch, what are CPEs?
I was gonna say certified public employee.
Professional, I think.
Oh, professional public. Gosh, yes, thank you.
Also public.
Yeah. For us, it's public. Yeah, certified professional employee.
Kind of
Right.
sort of breaks down to a teacher, but that gets.
Well, it also includes pupil personnel. So your counselor, your school psychologist,
Mhm. All the adults we need to run
who are
it.
certified.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so this is gonna be quick. So, because it'll put you to sleep. We can clarify. Get to. So yes, when we budgeted for 236.98 support units. We did come in above it, which is great, 240.06. We do see an increase in funding for discretionary of 134,355. That's not significant. But that's good. So there's good, and then there's the way the state pulls it back a little bit. Because of our scattergram, and I'm sure you saw that, that we base our budgets based off the current staffing, where people thought the scattergram this time last year, right? We had a lot of change, a lot of turnover. The new scattergram, how the state is funding us this way, we have a great many more staff members up at the beginning or the top of our salary schedule and the career ladder funding model for the state. So our average salary actually dropped by almost $2,000 per FTE. So in essence, we get more here in discretionary, we're actually gonna get less in salary-based apportionment and benefits because it's calculated on the average. So that being said, though, we know with our discretionary, with hopefully our best 28 weeks, we can gain a little bit more. But we also know we receive some additional state funding at the end of the we being really careful. Levy having failed. And we didn't get that until today, but that was not factored into the budget for this year. So what I am proposing and what we've been looking at numbers is we feel it's really important from a good faith standpoint. You know, it's important to always do all possible to give our steps, right? Steps and lanes are a customary way for us to show appreciation for your experience and the commitment. And certainly the fact that you guys weathered through with us through this year. That being said, you know that many of you are at the bottom or you're maxed out. And that's not just for certified, it's true, that's true for our classified staff, our administrative staff that have honored us by staying and being administrative. So our goal was to say, well, can we do anything in addition? I think it's really important to make sure, put it out on the table, that I'm truly not comfortable adding to the base, meaning changing our salary schedule. Because as you know from the legislature right now, we have about no idea how we're going to be funded going next year. We do know that our supplemental levy passed, that we will be able to take advantage of for 25 and 26. But we also know there's lots of other changes coming, including a revamp of the actual funding model. Many things that we hope will be good, but we don't know how that will shake out. So I looked at, and the leadership team really looked at if we could provide as well as a $500 stipend to every full-time employee. That, in essence, benefits our lowest paid people the most. And so in looking at the numbers of that, and I have just, and please, these are rough, obviously, because it's kind of based off where people fall on the scattergram. To give our certified staff steps without lanes, because we don't know, we have to go back and recalculate. About 386,000 with FICA, Medicare, and PERSE. Admin have about a 1% between steps. That's 31,000. It's not significant. Our classified are about 2% or 2% between steps. Certified are our only ones that have varying different amounts. So that's another 178,000. So combined, we're looking at about 596,000, 595,000 for steps, plus whatever we would do for lanes. $500 per full-time employee is approximately 315,000, which I felt like I still had some money possibly to deal with, to be able to play with, that came in at the end of the year. Looking in that $1 million range. So I went back and calculated it $600. I feel confident and comfortable being able to offer steps, qualifying lanes, and $750 stipend per full-time employee. Somebody that's half-time would be prorated. That tries to balance it to give someone who didn't qualify for a step, to get them at least the equivalent of a step and possibly a little bit more. Dr. French, would you like to add to this?
Yeah, I just says that we talked, like, this is for all classified. So your kitchen worker would also receive the 750 because we felt like it needed to be everybody. It needed to be the custodial staff, the secretary, because they all weathered that moment last year in May. And then, but we also do not, we really need to give steps and lanes. We do not want to figure out how to calculate that going into the future. And as we hire, we really are looking to hire experience. So that when we hire our neighbor teacher next door, because of course they want to work here, we want to make sure they're placed in the correct step and lane, and we're not trying to figure out where would that be.
Can I ask a question about that first? So one thing that we hear often is that it's cheaper to hire brand new teachers. And so districts want to hire brand new teachers more because it doesn't cost as much money. What I'm hearing from you is that's not true.
That is,
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Okay, I would say there's two sides, and Dr. French should very much address the instructional aspect of that. In my case, no, we want to hire experience because it brings our average up. It affects our funding on the other end.
Higher average is more funding.
Certainly, yep, because it doesn't, they don't fund us for individual, where you are on the grid, where you are on the grid. They throw them all into the career ladder and then calculate an average. 50, so our average went down to 56,940. And then they say, well, we only give you 200 FTEs, so we'll pay you that amount for those 200, even though you may have 300, which in our case we do. So that's where we always want to have a balance of new seniors. If you're very top heavy or bottom heavy, it may equate to funding, but then you lose them all in the same year. From an instructional, also, it's the impact on the classroom. It's on the impact of, and really retention, right? A lot of new teachers don't stick because they don't know what to anticipate, right? You always have a little more turnover in that first year. And so, and that would be my explanation.
and I would say like the veteran teacher is the great mentor. So we need more, we would love more people with experience. I know that we recruit well with special education and looking for people with experience in special education. I know Julie's worked on that. And then
There's a reason we pulled this one.
right? And then just also to up our average, because financially we're better off. It's great with our, we've really benefited from some of our student teachers who have stayed with us. They really truly are a benefit, but we have to, I absolutely.
It's an ecosystem. Too much of anything can be damaging.
I think there's something that's important to clarify. Here we are in March talking about is that we would do a retro pay back to the beginning of your contract year. You would in fact be issued a new contract. There would be a separate payroll ran. So you would get, instead of tacking it onto your existing paycheck, we would run a new one, a separate one, so that maybe the tax impact wouldn't be quite as bad. And our goal, if we can get it through ratified on both sides, meaning the board also, we would really push to do that in April, for the April payroll, May at the latest. So what you would see is you'd get a separate payroll for the retro pay, and then you'd see your regular paycheck for April adjust to your new monthly amount to pay out through the rest of your contract. That way, you start of your next year, you're not seeing a drop. We're not going to spread that increase over the last 3 or 4 months, and then all of a sudden you see a drop depending on what we finish. So we have the ability to do a retro pay, go back, pay for it.
And that would be in a separate payment.
Yes.
What about the stipend?
And so we haven't talked about that. I assumed we would do the retro pay plus the stipend in one.
Okay.
Because in some people that retro pay is not a huge dollar amount and some it is. On a classified 2%, it could only be a few cents per hour calculated over that time. Another thing is that we do it based on we cannot go back and retro pay anyone that's this year. So I think that's really important.
Does that make? There are questions on that. So if somebody, we know there were a couple, maybe, that just chose to leave in November decided education wasn't for them, there would be no retro pay for them. They've been
Be on the team
out.
to get it. Yeah.
Correct.
Lucky present to win.
Right.
Just a clarifying question to make sure that if that's covered, there are some folks who are new to us this year, and obviously the retroactive pay wouldn't apply to them, but the stipend.
So part of that, let me clarify
Yeah,
that,
that,
because
share with that.
if you came from another district,
Oh, right.
normally we would have given that person a year of experience in their placement with us. We did not. Because we didn't want to give someone new coming in a step, in essence, for their experience. And me, who was here all year, not. For one thing, would make it really difficult for us to calculate who got it, who didn't. So if you started in October or November, or even in September, you would then get your step of experience. The only one who will not, if you're a true BA 0.
Yeah, that's what I
If
meant.
you're true
Thank you.
first year, or you're here on all, and those are the only people that would not, because they don't have that year of experience behind them.
They would be eligible for the stipend.
That's what, but they would get the stipend.
That's what I wanted to get sure that you heard.
So
So-
just to clarify slightly more, are you saying that the people that get a step will also get the stipend?
That's correct.
And the people that don't get a step get $750?
The stipend, that's correct.
Okay, I'm misunderstanding that. So you're saying that all employees get 750 and everybody gets to move except 13 and 18. Do they get an extra stipend?
It's just everyone gets a stipend,
Everyone
and then
gets a stipend
if you
to-
would have qualified for a move last year, then you will
They
get
would
that
also
move. So if you weren't ever gonna move, then you aren't getting a move because you wouldn't have in the first place.
So then,
As we talk about a lot, excuse me, Kelly, I'm going to step on you, but that is the, the reality of any salary schedule. There's always going to be a maximum. That's why I felt it was important to say that we know there are people who don't apply for move. So by adding a stipend, that benefits. We also know people that a step, and really our classified staff are probably the least affected by a step because they're so minimal. And that this was a way for us to try to apply something to to affect the majority of the staff. Not to leave someone out. Because we do have a lot of qualified or people at the bottom of the salary schedule from last year. I thought I had it written down, 46 maybe.
Are you talking about step 13?
13 and
Yeah.
step to 18.
So step 13 is the biggest cell, correct? It has the most people in it.
Step 13. Well,
Step 1 has.
yeah.
Or gets to move down.
That's right.
Or steps BA and masters. There's 30 people in there that won't get to move at all, and they get the same,
Will receive.
but the same stipend as everyone. So that seems like they're not. Same with steps, the grandfathered section at the bottom, step 18.
That's correct.
It still seems like one move, they get 3,000 plus that 750. That those two lanes are only gonna get 750. It doesn't seem fair, in my opinion. Does that make sense? So somebody's gonna get 3,750 when those people that are on the grandfather steps or the step 10 or 13 only get 750.
I have a wondering then, I'm still new to this. My question is, what would have happened if this
Passed and-
levy passed, like what is the general practice for those with grandfathered?
So what's happened in the past is we haven't had to give a higher raise to those that don't move. The grandfathered section does get to move now, correct?
within, if they're already.
Within its own,
Enter the grandfathered.
gotcha, but within its grandfather's spot, those people do get to move, but then there's an end to that.
There always has to be
Yes.
an end, and it's difficult to address.
Yeah,
And you know, in a time of additional funding, salary schedules can be adjusted, the whole thing as a whole. But, you know, we don't know that, we certainly don't know what our funding is going to be for next year. And I feel that there's risk. I mean, we are basically using our fund balance, the monies that we received like in the last year that increased our fund balance to pay to cover these. We are actually receiving less state funding, not more, but we really do feel in good faith that everyone's stuck with us. This has not been an easy year, you know, we're acknowledging that. But we also feel it's really important to distribute it. You know, make sure everyone gets something. It's never gonna be equal. We just want it to be fair. Always subjective. And, you know, I feel that we try to balance to give a lowest, you know, a step, a 30 cents change versus, you know, and I can't, and I don't think anybody in this room can look at individuals. It's really difficult. And we want to, but we are trying really hard, and I feel sincerely that our leadership team is committed to doing the math and making it work and distribute as far. That doesn't mean that everyone is gonna be, you know.
couple of
You
more
wanna-
clarifying. Just, is this also have to do with people that, got 24 credits in the past year? Do those people get the $2,000 or yes or no?
Yes, we would still honor lane movement. If you received your credits that we weren't able to run for you last fall, we will.
Okay.
Move that.
And the people that moved into the,
Masters or the. Masters.
yeah, masters and, the professional.
The advanced professional.
Advanced professional from the State Department.
Advanced professional stipends were paid in November. Those were paid.
Because
The people that are just moving into their 9th year got paid the advanced professional, because that's when it starts, correct?
Applied for advanced professional endorsement on the state level. We paid it to them in November. And because, you know, you have to qualify every year. So,
Gotcha.
you know, you may had it 2 out of 3 years and didn't get it. But so
that
we have to
was-
review it every year and make sure that.
Advanced professional was not stopped.
And
Okay.
because the state funded us for those into our average.
Cause that's not something that we pay out of the normal teacher coffers. There's like an additional amount. Separate
Do I
to-
want to clarify that? That's not really true.
So, cause I would love that to
Okay.
be clarified. I would hate
It,
for you
it
to
does need to be
misunderstand.
clarified because it needs to be a topic of conversation moving forward. It's not something we're looking at this year, but and because of our whole career ladder expiring and everything changing, that will have to be looked at. But currently, this year, it's factored into the average. You know how I said they take everybody and they put them on the career and they determine and they come over here and they say, okay, you have so many people that qualify for advanced professional endorsement. They add that into before they calculate your average.
Okay, so if like all of us got qualified, it would make our district.
It would make it, oh, absolutely. We
Cool.
would get everybody. That'd be. In this case,
We have trainings for
it
that.
doesn't, it's not a dollar to dollar. You don't get a full. Average, right? So it's spread over the 200 or 300. So it's a little bit misleading in the fact that in our master agreement, we pay it out.
Mhm.
So it's important that that almost has to, and Brian or Eric that were a part of the finance committee would see where we show it and say, okay, well, it went into the average here, but then because we have a commitment to pay it out, we have to remove it. We have to have the money. Person, so it's separate, but it's because we actually intentionally remove it so that we.
It's not natural.
So that we can flow it through directly to them.
Where in fact, it just it helps our overall funding for salary-based apportionment because it's calculated. It's just like our, you know, if you have your
Education
master,
allocation.
your education
Mhm.
allocation or your the 824.
I think Melissa had something.
Lauren's got a question.
So just to clarify, the money came from, under budgeting or over budgeting, or it came from, you said you were conservative with what you
So
thought was gonna cost?
in our support units, so we did in fact receive more support units than we budgeted. But our average, so our reimbursements for salaries and benefits actually went down below what I budgeted because our average salaries decreased by so much. $1,962 per 1982 per certified.
And that left
But-
you with,
So we're receiving 401, 463. Less in salaries, 85,000 less in benefits. But what we're anticipating or planning to use is that additional state distribution that we received in July. Where the state said we didn't have as much holdback, so we're gonna distribute that out to districts. And so we were able to build our fund balance this year by those funds. We're tracking well so far. Even though I feel that we were conservative, we're still probably gonna, our state funding is gonna be low, but we under budgeted, like we got more in transportation. We got a little bit more in sped. We got a little bit more in these other areas that are really dependent on actuals. Which kids did we have? Which things? So I feel comfortable in going ahead and giving. And that it will come out of fund balance. It will come out of the funds that we received by, that actually was applied to last year. So,
how much was that?
you know, we received a little over $1 million. I'd have to. pick a number out
Gap
of my head.
funding?
They called it the special distribution, and I know you guys heard about it much
Right,
in
yeah.
IEA. So I wouldn't call it gap funding. I just think it's that they got to the end of the year and had some
Yeah.
additional funds and distributed them based off the protection. You know, we
Okay.
were budgeting about 3% protection for all of us that had to go back to average daily attendance from the enrollment. So that hit us hard last year, but we had our. This year, it didn't hit us quite as bad because so many. Actually, it was under 1% protection. Which is pretty amazing. What's this on here? Our protection was, it's under 1%. So that, you know, the state had held back also, so they freed that money up and distributed it out to the districts. And like 0.26 instead of 3. So that's actually where a lot of it came from. And I apologize, I'm happy to make printouts or give to you. I just didn't want to hold this up anymore. So.
I had a quick question, sorry, I'm sorry that I was late, I got all kabobbled, but anyways, and I apologize that I wasn't here at the negotiations earlier the year. But I had just one question also, you know, if I was one of those teachers that was in the 13th step or the 18th step and, you know, I'm just getting $750, I just wondered, would there be any way that we could average the difference? Like from step 1 to step 2 is 800 and then 900 and, you know, the differences, and then, you know, just add them up, average them and see what the average is there and be able to give those teachers something in addition to the 750. I know that they, you know, going from like, well, up here, the endorsement, the professional endorsements, yeah, but just at the bottom, just because, you know, it looks like the minimum that people will get is maybe, looks like $300. And those are in like step 7 and looks like step 7 and maybe step 8, or let me see, 6 and 8. But like if there could be, and I don't know, like I said, I jumped in at the end, but
I really can't answer that. I think that, the important thing is that it's March. We do still need to finish our year, pay through salaries through July. And as I mentioned earlier, that we don't anticipate and have a way to know what our funding is gonna be for next year yet. I think it's really important that we don't create a situation that we can't sustain next year. And that, as difficult as it is, every salary schedule in the state of Idaho has a maximum. Notice that our schedule, we have differing percentage rates between the step, different depending on where you are, which was really an effort to reward longevity, the pursuit of additional credits in education, which is what we're here for. And I guess my position would be not to change our salary schedule, but that's really important going into the new year this time. Once we know our funding for next year, then obviously our conversations start again for the 25-26.
Well, I don't think she's talking about adding to our thing, but
I know.
maybe a more another stipend for those people that are on those steps and aren't moving.
13 minutes.
Well, there's, are there
there-
any other questions or? do we wanna focus and sort of gather our thoughts and then come back? How does that sound? Wanna do that?
Thumbs up.
I think so.
Thumbs up if you're good at, so would a 5-minute caucus be enough? Or 5? Okay.
Want to say things?
Well, I'm asking, is 5 minutes enough? It sounds like everyone's good with 5.
Hard out.
Good.
Make it
Okay.
Thank you for saying that. Now.
Yeah, I'll take it, 505.
Oh, you told me 5, no.
We'll honor 505.
I'll say, we really appreciate the attitude that all of us have come to the table with. For me, I know that I'm really grateful to hear that we're getting the same things to our ESPs. I think in a lot of ways, ESPs have been on the front lines of all the changes we've experienced this year, and they certainly deserve some gratitude for that. But Andy, did you want to speak to the concerns that we were?
So obvious, thank you, Dre. So hi, first time negotiations member. Thanks, guys. We've obviously the issue that we have concerns about is those 13 and those 18. Like, how do we piece those equitably? And we know that in this conversation that it's a difficult thing because without renegotiating an entire salary schedule, equity is just not feasible. And so I wanted to remind everybody for the norms that we agreed on, that we're here to focus on the issue and not on people. And that's hard. It is hard in education to separate those two, absolutely, because we are all human beings. We all have lives and homes and things we need to take care of. But at the end of the day, the issue was they didn't move us, no lanes, no steps. And so we are bringing this back to the table. So I just want to make sure that we remind ourselves that we're focusing on current, like what do we have control over, and what are we here for? What is the story? What is our issue?
Right, and while it doesn't mean that we can never talk about the salary schedule again, it doesn't mean it's something we could, it's IBB, right? It's interest-based, so if that's a problem that we identify, we can certainly bring it to the table and talk about it. But it sounds like that's, for all of us that have negotiated a salary schedule before, that will take much longer than 5 more minutes to do. And I want to make sure that we all. I appreciate Andy saying that we want to make sure that we are all addressing the problem of a lot of us stuck around in this district, even though we were not getting any steps and lanes. And we knew that we were going to be taking a decrease in our salaries on a month-to-month basis. And that is the core of the issue. And it doesn't mean that there's not other attached issues, but that's not what we're here today for, unfortunately. Right.
You say something. This is always a sticking point. Since I've been on this, it continues to raise its head every time we do it. We have to do something about the salary schedule. can't keep doing this way, because we always end up in this spot where we have haves and have-nots. And it's just, it's not, I don't know that it's working. There needs to be some sort of change, or we're just gonna keep hitting this wall every time. Every time. So something needs to change with this.
I
And
I
I'm-
gotta be, I'm gonna say, so 25, 26. You know, we all need to really think about what that might be. I do agree with Brian, absolutely, that is a sticking point, and we don't know what the state's gonna, we don't know how that's going to pan out. So I would say that will be probably one of our biggest conversations. And how are we competitive with surrounding communities? And making sure that we're doing the right thing for the people, or our people in Caldwell, and that's everybody. That's this certified professional employee and the classified employee who shows up every day at $13 an hour. Everybody. Okay, that was just my piece of, oh, sorry, Eric.
What are we hearing from, I mean, I appreciate all that, and I'm just trying to like, are we feeling like good about it overall?
So are there any, well, I mean, I guess I would wonder, is there any elephants in the room apart from what Brian brought up that we need to discuss right now? Is there anything else that we need to question, or are we ready to come to a vote?
Can I make a statement? Yeah. I just think that it's important to say, like, I'm looking in the room and I see colleagues, I've been in the district 30 years, and some of you I've joined with you and love you and adore you, and we've grown up professionally together. And I can absolutely appreciate the thought that I have held true to Caldwell School District. I've grown up professionally here, and when you find yourself at the bottom with no more movement, I absolutely, and you know, I speak on behalf of my colleagues, that it could definitely feel like a put down, that it's $750, but you're not seeing the increase that you might expect with someone who's moving down a step or in additional lane. I think that's a real and valid feeling. I also would just like to iterate what Brian said, the way our salary schedule is now. And as Cheryl mentioned, it's not infinite, unfortunately. And so we do have a spot where we don't get to go to the second page because there's nowhere else to go. That's the way it is now. I'm not saying that's the way it has to be or it will be next year or whatever. But that's the way it is now. And that stinks for the people who are living there. And I get it. And it's not lost on us. In addition to that, when we're trying to increase starting salaries for educators, it gets top heavy as well on the other end, where folks start out earning more. Great. That also is a variable that impacts where people land on the steps. So I think it's important to note that this wasn't a decision that wasn't thought of, or we don't love you any less or value any less. I get at the same time where it would feel like that. So, and I know that my words don't make you a car payment. I get it, but it's just worth noting that I get it, that we get it. Get it?
Got it.
Got it.
Good.
Well, fine. Do you
One more
guys want to take a vote?
One thing.
Go ahead.
On the 13, those people, a lot of those people were came in before the career ladder came in. They've been at that step for many, many years now. They had no idea how the salary schedule was gonna be changed. A guy like me came in, I could see the salary schedule. I could see at some point I was gonna stop. It's not fair for me to move, but it certainly is fair for those people to move, because they got to move because in education. And now they don't get that. So those people. I think that especially, and Cheryl and I have talked about this before. There needs to be something done for those people. Not for me, I'm in that spot, or I'm gonna be in that spot. They are.
It's 5:06, and I certainly would not want to rush the process. I want to do it correctly. So could we maybe take a vote on if we need to stop now and continue a different day, or if we're ready to come to a vote with this? How are we feeling?
I'll ask if we're ready to go to a vote.
Okay,
That's at
so
least definitive.
Yeah, so thumbs up if you're ready to go to a vote, thumbs sideways if, no, thumbs down if you're not ready to,
yeah, it's gotta be a yes or no.
is that yes or no? Right.
You only get one Dr. French.
In case she didn't like your vote.
No, she's just kidding. No.
So it looks like you guys are ready to vote on proposed steps and lanes and the $750 stipend, is that correct?
Clarify, everyone would get their steps and lanes restored, whatever they would have gotten last year, plus an additional $750 spent, and that's what we're voting on.
The Langens.
Sorry, thanks. I was like.
All right, friends, looks like
Yeah.
guys are ready to TA. Seconds.
Right.
We could get with Joy.
All right, and Roshan can meet with you all.
And then we can put it before the board in there. We could actually go there, make we can make a special meeting. I guess we have to wait for CEA first.
Yeah, because we do need
Yeah,
to.
never mind, I'll wait. We can move it to the board when CEA ratifies.
I just wanna, I don't wanna open a can, but Brian, your thumb said yes, your body language says no, or that you're feeling really uncomfortable and that's making you feel uncomfortable.
Well, I've always, I don't wanna stop progress, but I think it needs to be said. Those people, and if they don't, those people have a voice, they've stayed in this district for a very long time. And we have this conversation every time. We used to have it with even the grandfathered section. We finally got them to move, but it has to be addressed. Because there are people that were in this district before we switched to the career ladder that got put in that spot. That some people got lucky and got to move down, but not everybody. So that is the biggest sell there. Now, some people saw the writing on the wall. I saw the writing on the wall. I came into this district, either I get a master's and I'm 24 and I get to move. I saw that before that. But other people did not. They've been in quite a few more years than I've been in. And so I think.
Julie,
that
did
needs to
that.
be there.
When I was in the district for, this is my 35th year, I used to have equivalent to a master's. And so I never bothered getting mine because I have like 90 credits on top of my BA. But then that went away. So a lot of us were stuck just because of that. And it makes no sense for some of us to go get our master's degree for a $400 pay raise.
Right.
And I realize this is a bigger conversation for another day. I just wanted to make sure that your thumbs up was really a thumb up. We're gonna move on, but we're gonna come back to that issue.
Right. Well,
And on the note of we have to ratify because it's last year's.
well, I was gonna say, from the conversations we've had, I don't think we have to ratify.
I
However,
just want a clarification.
this is the beauty of being a union member. You get to make your voice heard. So we've all agreed that this is a deal that we can live with at this table. But I also think, speaking to what Brian's saying, it's more than fair to put it out to our members and make sure that it's something you all can live with. Because we do understand that this is a sticky situation. We have to make a decision at this table that's going to be equitable to all of us. And that unfortunately means that it's leaving these folks in steps 13 and 18 out. So it is a decision that at the end of the day, our membership gets to make. Can we all live with this? So on that note, I think we've agreed to it here, and then we can push it out for ratification
And I do want to
Base up.
qualify that our board does.
Right. But we, and the step would be that we would ratify, we would let you know that we're good with it, and then you would put it to the board, and the board gets the final say.
Right, and I
And I,
would, the April regular board meeting. So that gives you, so spring break is right next week, so that's difficult. And they have a meeting on the 24th. Probably be. With the anticipation that those checks would be cut for April payroll.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Sorry.
appreciate everyone being respectful. Thank you for checking in with Brian. And I do think that it was also mentioned that you guys would look at it for the contract for next year. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think it's better.
Something that, it's important, obviously, to both sides. So, are you guys in favor of ending the live feed right now? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes.
To end the live, please.
All right, thank you.
I second.